Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at CriticalBlast.com, broadcasting to you once more from the not-so-scenic Critical Blast caverns underneath the Critical Blast headquarters in our secret location in St. Louis, Missouri. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that part, was I? So we are once again delving into the world of crowdfunding comics, and tonight we have a special guest with us who has a unique superhero team, unlike... okay, I'm not taking anything away from saying it's a unique superhero team. It's a superhero team, but they have a unique setting and a unique world to play in. So welcome to the show, Mr. Bill Raupp. Did I say that correctly? Is it Raupp?
It's Raupp. Close enough, though. No one ever gets it right.
Well, I tried. I should have asked before the show.
Thanks for having me.
You got Tribulation Task Force. And I should be specific.
Yes,
files 1 through 3 with this particular crowdfunding. So this is a 3-issue deal.
Yes, it is. We've previously released number 1, so this one is focusing on issue 2 and 3, and we have issue 1 available if you missed it the first time around.
Now, when you say you released, you've crowdfunded that and you've put it out there. It's delivered.
Yes, it's already done.
Okay. Are you seeing that this particular crowdfund is enjoying any extra surge, or is it funding faster because you've already funded one?
Well, we've funded about 6 campaigns so far, 6 or 7. So it's always, climbing up a mountain. It's a hard climb, but in the end, we get there. Okay.
So, but, because I've talked with a lot of people who, they've done their first comic and they're like, oh man, it was a struggle, but we got there. And now they're on their second comic and they're like, holy cow, we funded within the first week and now it's all downhill from here.
Well, we reached our funding goal in the first week. So, it was a $500 goal. So pretty, simple goal. We got there. We're past 1,000 now. So that's good. It's definitely been easier this time around, but because it has this stigma with, if you look at the green above me there, the T is a cross. So instantly people see it and they're like, nope, not buying it. So that's the biggest hurdle we've had to overcome.
Well, sure. I mean, it's people look at that, I guess, and they see,
and it's not, I think when people see the cross, they see preachy. He's going to preach at me. He's going to all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is an Archie.
They forget that. Right, exactly. And they forget that movies like The Omen, The Exorcist, all of these paranormal movies, they all usually involve some kind of religious element to it. So they overlook that. And as soon as they see the cross, they're like, nope, not getting it. And CG won't touch it.
Well, yeah, but you got to remember those horror movies, the satanic element is the cool part.
Exactly.
If you want to sell Tribulation Task Force and the Antichrist is taking over, first of all, flip that cross around, and then you make your A. You make your A or your O. You make your O in Task Force a pentagram. Now you
right. How sad is it that as a society, that's the point we've come to, where something like God is bad, and if it's satanic and bloody and nasty, I would sell, $50,000 worth of books.
Of course, because Lucifer was the rebel, and everybody wants to be the rebel. They don't want to be, the loyalist.
Right. But it's too quote unquote Christian for regular crowds, and for the Christian crowd, it's not Christian enough. So I'm in this gray area where I'm just fighting for both audiences.
Well, you do have a Christian team, and you've certainly got elements of not just elements but characters from the I don't want to say the original mythos because that was things, but you've got the Apostle John, who wrote a book and lived a long time ago, and he's still here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's I think when people think of it, they think it's every word is coming. Okay, Raupp Liefeld did a book in the 90s called Prophet, which was one of his better selling books. And the whole first issue of the book, all he did was quote scripture. And the book sold, millions.
True.
So, I mean, it works.
You read it?
What?
You think read it? It was Raupp Liefeld and it was an image book.
Yeah. It's probably still stuffed away. I don't know if anyone ever even opened it. They probably put it in a bag and board and, thought they were going to make $1 billion off of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, this is, first year of image and Raupp Liefeld drew it. Look at the cool pictures. Oh, pockets, pouches, pockets, guns.
Right.
Put it away. And we've already got questions from the chat. We don't even talk about the book yet. Robert Roberts is in the chat here. Says, why do you think Catholic Christian imagery is widely popular in American cinemas where the Protestant evangelical tribulation and rapture mythology is marginalized? I read ahead. I know that's what he meant there. Especially...
Well, I think now, given... I think given, a few years ago, there was a surge in the Christian end times theology with the Left Behind series. The book sold, incredibly. They were on the bestseller list, and it kind of had a little buzz. But I think even the church doesn't really like talking about it because it's very involved. It's very scary for some people. So it's one of the things we like to kind of push off to the side and not really deal with.
Yeah. Plus, I think the Catholic Church has more symbolism to work with, whereas the Protestant church is like, that symbolism stuff is kind of what we're trying to not have a whole bunch of.
Right. Yeah, the Catholic Church is more pomp and circumstance and kind of rituals, and some people really like that, that kind of predictability, whereas the Protestant church kind of, like you said, they wanted to get away from it. It's sola scriptura, just the Bible. Whatever it says, that's what we're going to go by. We don't need the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. And you know what, Robert? There is a Mormon movie that comes to mind, but dang it, I cannot remember what it was now. So if I remember it, I will get back to you. Of course, go watch Big Love on the HBO series. That was kind of.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't think
5 seasons, man. They were devout. They just had a different. They were a niche sect off of it there. But you mentioned movies like The Omen,
right?
And one of the things that I always that caught my attention, things like this, and I carried this idea so long that I actually made it part and parcel of my first Destroyer novel, Bully Pulpit, with Remo Williams, is this notion that once the church ever gets wind of the Antichrist is among us, he walks here, he's been born, we must go destroy him. I'm like, isn't this what you've been waiting for? I mean, it's right there in the back of the book. This is your day. This is like, thank God we're almost done with all this crap.
Right. And in this book, the Antichrist is already on earth. I mean, in the Bible, the church would be technically gone before the Antichrist ever hit the scene. So they wouldn't know that the Antichrist is there. But in our book, we kind of play with it a little, and he's a super villain, and he's already on the earth, and you're trying to stop him from taking power before his time.
And I would guess he's a super villain along the lines of Lex Luthor, where the general populace sees him as billionaire philanthropist or whatever.
Right. In the book, the villains the world sees as heroes. They're working for the United Nations. They're the celebrity heroes, when in fact they're the villains. And then the heroes of the book are what the public sees as the evangelical terrorists, the bad guys. So it's ripped from today's headlines. It's just the world outside the window. Pretty much. Right.
I do love that. Before we get too deep into it, you have a video that's part of your campaign here, and I'm going to go ahead and play that so everybody can get a peek at things here. Then we'll talk some more and dig into the tiers that you've got on here. Let's give this thing a watch.
Thanks. Dark Cross Comics presents Tribulation Task Force Secret Files. Secret Files 1 through 3 tells the story that the rapture has occurred and millions of people have been removed from the earth. The new world leader Apollyon has taken control of the earth's governments. With his enforcers, the Watchers, the world has become a very different place. This issue has 2 separate covers for each issue, along with a really great chrome variant. For those new to the Tribulation Task Force, the end of days are upon us, and the soon-to-come Antichrist is on a mission to bring forth the last days before the appointed time. Under a platform of peace, he uses his position in the United Nations to assemble a team of superpower warriors to help him achieve his true goal, the destruction of mankind. The hero Grok, along with the Apostle John, who's still alive, search out the globe's greatest heroes to combat the oncoming threat. Together, they assemble the greatest superhero force the world has ever seen or ever will see. They are the Tribulation Task Force. We've got some great rewards for this campaign, including trading card set number 6, a beautiful 11 by 17 poster, your own Tribulation Task Force ID card. One of the coolest tiers we have is the original character cameo appearance. Your character can guest star in Secret Files number 2. Your character will appear in the group along with Tribulation Task Force allies. You get a 1-paragraph bio and a link to your social media or website. Plus, there'll be a trading card produced of the team image. Hurry, because there's only 4 slots available, and this tier is $100. We've got some awesome add-ons. We have a USB digital comic collection that contains 13 Tribulation Task Force comics, 6 Star-Crossed comics, and a bunch of extras. There's an add-on tier where you can catch up and get all of our releases in print format. You get Secret Files number 1, Tribulation Task Force number 0, and a bunch of awesome things. Thanks for listening, and be sure to support Secret Files number 1 through 3, now on Indiegogo. We appreciate your support.
Okay,
Yay.
I want to say, first of all, very clearly, while Robert Roberts is still in the chat, did you see 13 issues PDF digital? Because I know you love the digital books. Robert is like near the Arctic Circle doing work. I hope you're not a pipe fitter, Robert. I honestly do, because I was talking about you last night saying, well, he might not be working near the Arctic Circle anymore, but out where he can't have long white boxes and he reads everything digitally. So that's a lot to read. I would take a quick peek at that.
And we also have there's a catch-up tier also for people who might be new to a Tribulation Task Force that has all of our releases in print form also.
Very cool. Now, you did mention that the Apostle John is part of this, and he's still alive. Has he been alive on Earth all this time, or has he been sent back?
He has been alive on Earth all this time, and he gets captured by the Catholic Church somewhere in 1940, I think. So in the first issue of Tribulation Task Force, the team goes to the Vatican to rescue him. So that's the premise of the first issue of Tribulation Task Force.
Okay, so my question is going to be then how John is, first of all, I guess he has to escape the Catholic Church, or they're using him, or he's working for them.
Well, you have to read the first issue to find out what he's going to do.
What I really wanted to get to was that he should be able to handle this fairly well, because it's like, yep, I've already watched this movie.
Well, he has an air of confidence about him, because he does know what's going to happen. So he's able to instruct these younger people, what they have to do. And he also, the next Tribulation Task Force number 2 that's coming out in the summer, he's going to face a problem that he can't finish, because God's going to say, no, certain things have to happen, and he knows. So he's going to face this frustration of, I could end some of this stuff now, but I'm kind of not allowed to.
All right. Now, I was raised under a pew pretty much in a very evangelical church up until the time I went to college. So end time prophecy was like every third Sunday of the month and twice on Wednesday nights, because that was the thing. It was like, this is the party, guys. Make sure everything's ready to go.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I would look for in a story like this. I'm like, well, I wonder if he's going to cover this. I wonder if he's going to cover that. Two of the things that I would look for, one thing I would look for in two parts, I guess, is the statement that, two prophets would be sent back to wander the earth and warn people. And I believe that was, one was Elijah, and it was theorized that the other would be Enoch, because they were both the only two people in the Bible that didn't die. Elijah was taken of a chariot of fire, and Enoch was not, for God took him.
Right. There's, I always think it's Enoch, but a lot of people, a lot of evangelical people say it's Moses. Elijah and Moses. I don't know where they get Moses from, but like you, I would think it would be Enoch also.
Because they showed up at the Transfiguration.
Yeah, the two witnesses. Right, and they never died. They were taken up to heaven without dying, so it makes sense it would be them. But that is later in the series. Secret Files #1 actually opens up with the end of the Tribulation Task Force. They're all defeated, and he's holding up the leader Grok, and then the rapture happens, and they all kind of disappear. So the Secret Files books take place after everyone is gone, and they have to get these journals to the next generation of people who were there during the tribulation period.
Okay, so this is happening after the first 13 issues that were on the PDF that was shown in the video?
It happens far in the future. So basically, they've made records of all the characters, they've made records of their adventures, and they put them in these journals. And someone has to get these journals to the Jews that are on Earth right now during the rapture. So it's kind of looking back at, at what happened to the Tribulation Task Force. And it gives their stats and all of that kind of stuff.
So the Tribulation Task Force, the regular series, then that is a pre-rapture world that they're working in.
Oh, you were breaking up. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
The Tribulation Task Force main issues, they're operating in a pre-rapture world?
Right. They're operating in this current time, 2020, 2021.
So naturally, when the rapture does occur, they're all working for God, so they'll disappear. If anybody's left over, he's going to be like, what did I do?
Exactly. Well, that's how issue 2 opens up. There is one of the characters that wasn't really a believer and is still here, so he's going to get the journals.
He is now.
Yeah. That's how issue 2 actually opens.
I've had this weird theory, and this is a deviation away from the whole thing. Zombies. I have this theory that the entire zombie movement is this demonic influence, because not everybody who does something that might be inspired by Satan is committing a sin, but he might be throwing ideas out there that work in his direction. So I'm like, what if, and this is, I'm just saying what if, okay? What if the entire zombie movement was a whispered idea to catch on and become popular with, starting with Night of the Living Dead and then moving on into things like, The Walking Dead and such like that. Because if you think about it, if the rapture had happened in the 1800s, before we had social media and movies and media like that, and it came to the battle where, all the saints returned to Earth and for the great big fight, it'd be like, that's Uncle Zeb. He died 50 years ago. Oh my God, God returned. I dropped to my knees. I repent my sin.
Well, by that time, it's going to be too late.
Well, of course. There's debate on that too.
Right. There's debate on everything. You're right.
But in a 21st century model, it's like rapture happens, everyone's gone, the saints come back for the Great War, I'm in the army. That's Uncle Zeb. He died 50 years ago. Headshots. Boom, boom, boom. Because they're thinking zombies, reanimated corpses.
Right. Well, ideas come from somewhere. And the theory is a lot of our ideas come from spiritual influences, be they good or bad, because we fight a battle that's a spiritual battle.
Absolutely. And I don't know why that could ever do with that idea, but I just thought that's an interesting, like a TED talk or something.
there goes another comic. Started
I,
off.
I do it all the time. I just throw comics out there. If you ever get to the chapter where the dead come back to the Great War, just run with it. Just let people think they're zombies. I don't care.
There is a after Jesus was resurrected, there are some verses that said that the dead were walking around.
Yes.
After he had resurrected. So.
Oh my God! I have a whole novel about that.
Rob Liefeld did something with that too, which I never read. But
I've had this this novel. I write novels. I've been published, but I've not really focused on this one where I wanted to focus on Barabbas, who was in prison. He was going to be crucified. If you were going to be crucified, you were a political dissident of some kind. You weren't just a pickpocket.
Right.
And since Christ replaced him, my thought was that he was doing something with Dismas and Gestas, who were the two malefactors on either side of Christ during the crucifixion.
Right.
And that after he hears that Jesus is back up, he's like, well, then where are my buddies? And it's basically this whole, they must be around too. And, how his life was affected by, not dying. This guy died. It didn't affect him. So would I have really died? Just a bunch of internal discussion.
That's a cool concept.
Who came back? They never said it. It was like this throwaway verse. And the stone was rolled away, and Jesus walked out. And there were some other guys that walked around too. And then he came to the apostles. I'm like, well, stop!
Right.
Go back a second here.
Well, there's a lot of things like that in the Bible. There, in Genesis 6, it says there were Nephilim on the earth before the flood and then after, where the sons of God, the angels, came down and had sex with the women and made these giants who were basically superheroes in that day. Yeah. And there's only a couple verses about it, and then that's it, moves on. Big mystery, but we're not going to tell you anymore.
They're after the flood. What was the point? I thought the point of the flood was Nephilim.
Well, I heard a really good theory that because the Nephilim were on the earth and the angels were mucking around with things, it says that they were messing around with genetics. So the only pure genetic people on the earth at that time were Noah and the people that were saved. So basically the flood happened, well, because there was this rampant evil and violence, but basically because the genome had been totally corrupted.
Which, of course means that we're sexually compatible with demons and angels.
Yeah.
And of course, all the Nephilim would have had to have been demon-inspired, demon-spawned, because the angels wouldn't do that. Hopefully, they're like, I want to follow the rules here, and the rules say no.
You got to remember, Lucifer was the head angel before he rebelled and fell, and took a third of the angels. So there were probably a couple more angels left up there that were like, and those angels got bound in chains until judgment. So some of them must have rebelled again, because there were Nephilim after the flood. Very few, but they pop up in different places. So, now that we're doing all this genetic experimentation and cloning, you got to wonder, if we are back in that cycle. Because the one thing that says in scripture is that the end times would be as it was in the days of Noah. And that was one of the things that was going on, this evil and mixing of things.
And of course, whenever they talk about as it was in the days of Noah, they list all the sins, and it was like, marrying and giving in marriage, eating and drinking. I'm like, wait a second, that's all we do.
Yeah. Well, I think that the focus of that was that's all they were doing. That's all they were worried about, was eating, drinking, being merry, and not worrying about anything. It was all about them and feeding their kind of own desires and neglecting everything else. And if you look at TV, that's kind of where we're at. There's this, a lot of historians have said one of the things in the Roman Empire was they had got so full of themselves, like they made their chefs these big stars and like these superficial things. And I'm looking, I'm like, you have people like Gordon Ramsay. We're kind of in the same cycle as Rome was in.
And not only that, but now, everybody has a camera and everyone can have a TV show, and I'm feeling very self-conscious. Right. So we have an interesting question here from the chat. Raupp says, as your work is rooted in 19th century end times prophetic works, would you consider a crossover with Nation of Islam 19th century end times prophecy? That would be, it's two parts, which includes the mother wheel UFO that is overhead, waiting to restore the domination of the world by righteous people of God who happen to be Black Americans. That could get very controversial now.
We won't touch that.
You could have two whole groups of people who won't read your book.
But UFOs do factor in eventually, and what the Christian view of kind of UFOs are.
I've actually read Billy Graham's book on that, Angels, and it was in his book there that he read that in 8th grade, where he theorized that all these UFO sightings were actually angels. Ezekiel saw the wheel,
right?
And the wheel had an angel in it. So yeah, maybe they have transport.
Well, and Satan is called the prince of the power of the air. So whatever's going on up there, of course, that's his whole MO, is to cause deception, to do anything to take people's eyes off of the creator. So if you can get people's eyes off the creator and they're just so worried about UFOs and this and that, boom, he wins.
And, signs in the heavens.
Right.
And
there were signs in the heavens and the stars.
How many people went outside just a couple of weeks ago to squint at Saturn and Jupiter lining up just to see them close together? I want to go out and I want to look at the stars because something's happening. It's the, that was Star of Bethlehem possibility they were talking about there.
That was a good way to spin it. Made a little more headlines.
And it was, I saw it. It was fairly cool. It was two stars close together. It didn't my wife's like, well, this is nothing. She expected the cartoon nativity scene where it just flares up and you got, they're like, no, it's just the astronomers back then said, hey, these things are coming together. Let's go.
Right.
And Blaspeaker said, I've got a great Null reference if you ever want to go down that road. He's a rapper from Houston he's a straight edge Muslim with private positive message. Okay. We'll check him out on another show. We can talk rap then. Blastbeat comes on our every other Saturday, the LCS guys show. So he's one of our comic shop dealers and music sellers and such, and he has a lot of information. And we should really have him on sometime too. So we're promoting a comic book. I should remember this at some point. You are at 209%. Congratulations. Is this your first 7 days or are you in the last 30 now?
It is first 7.
Okay. So I don't get to ask, are you in the latter days?
We're in the beginning.
Okay. We are premillennial on this one. Secret Files 1 through 3. That is the basic perk. That's the featured perk. And it's $35 for 3 comics, right? Is that
Yep.
This is all messed up here. You got Secret Files number 1 down at the bottom, Bill. You're messing me up doing that.
Oh, whoops.
So you get Secret Files number 1, number 2 cover A, number 3 cover A, the trading card set, number 6.
Yep.
What's numbers? You had more trading card sets prior to this.
Yep. Each campaign we have a new set of trading cards.
Okay, that's cool. And you get the Tribulation Task Force poster number A, which I bet they're all going to be shown. Maybe I should just go down the big side here, and then we'll see things here. So this is cover A for 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Yep.
I'm trying to see which one's 2 and which one's 3.
The left side is 2. The right side is 3.
Okay, I thought this number under the star here I thought was the issue number, and they both say 2 to me.
Oops, I put the wrong image. That could be confusing. I'll have to correct that.
Yep. That will mess people up.
Whoops.
It is another 2. Oh, that's the Watchers. Yeah, you got the image for the Watchers up there.
Yeah, each image is like a hero version and a villain version.
Okay. And I like this the variance on this one for 2 and 3 because it looks like they're all standing at the same table, but they're not because this is heroes and this is villains. So that's something to bring up. Villains, you don't have just the Antichrist. He's got a team.
He does.
So there's at
He's
least
got a team of very nasty people.
What does it take? Okay. Are they nasty people, or are they just thinking that they're good?
They're nasty people.
Okay.
I wanted the villains to be villains. I didn't want them to be this. Well, there's one character who is in the gray area, and his name is Blue Flame. He's the son of two of the characters in the Tribulation Task Force. And the subplot running through the books is whether he's going to stay with the villains or whether he's going to come back and join the heroes.
Okay. So because, the Apollyon's big deal is that everyone thinks he's the good guy, and if you side with me, this is the way things are. So it would make sense. It would stand to reason that at least one person on his team would be, I am here for the right reasons.
Right.
These are the bad guys I am fighting.
Right. So that one guy is the only sympathetic character on the team. The rest of them are purely self-motivated and just. I wanted the villains to really be villains. These are people who are truly evil. They're truly angry. They're like your Jeffrey Dahmers and your serial killers. They're sociopaths.
Yeah, and they know what they're working for.
Right.
Okay, so they're in on the plan.
They are.
He shared it with them. And then you got these Chrome covers here. So I'm looking for where it starts to talk about. Okay, so these are the reward levels.
Right.
For $10, you get that doesn't read right. $10, you get Secret Files 2 and 3 in PDF and a preview comic PDF. So why just 2 and 3 and not number 1? Help me out on this. What am I?
Because I'm assuming most people have number 1 from the first campaign. If not, it's available as an add-on.
Oh, okay. So that's my mistake. I thought this campaign was 1 through 3, and that was what you were actually putting out. You've already done Secret Files 1.
Right, and it's available. You can add it on to any one of these tiers.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I know that the feature tier was 1, 2, and 3 in the
right.
Well, I'm going to go back up and start with that then, because I might get a little off track if I try to follow through here. So 1 through 3, $35. You get the trading card set and the poster. And then down here we'll start with Secret Files number 2 and 3. This is where we just read. Okay.
Right.
This is digital. This also has the same image, but it doesn't say the Watchers. It's okay. That's interesting. You got the same image, but this one does say number 3, Tribulation Task Force. It's just that this image says number 2, the Watchers.
Yep. Okay. I picked the wrong image for that.
Gotcha. You get 2 and 3 in PDF format, and you get the Tribulation Task Force preview comic. What is the preview comic? Is that like preview of before the series starts, or is that a preview of things to come?
It has previews of some of the books we've released and some that are coming out.
Gotcha. All right, so sounds sort of like a Marvel Age.
Yeah.
I dig it. 5 people have claimed that one. I didn't want to do that. I clicked it again. I'm so glad Indiegogo doesn't put your credit card information right up there front and center. Yeah, right. I would just be so financially screwed over so many times. So that was $20. Where was I at? No, it was $10 for the digital. Okay, now we're back on track.
Right.
Number A, $20 for 2 and 3, the trading card set, the poster, and Secret Files 2 and 3 in PDF format. That's a good deal. $20 for 2 comics, the trading card sets and everything. So crowdfunding, as crowdfunding goes, that's really good.
I thought so.
What's your shipping set for? Do you know?
It's $7 US, and I think it's $13 overseas.
Oh my God! How are you affording $13 overseas shipping? You're taking a hit on that every time.
Yeah, I take a little hit on the overseas. We don't get a whole lot of overseas, so I'm kind of okay with that.
Okay, because I know it's got to be costing like $24 when you actually send it out.
Yeah.
So you can get 2 and 3 cover A. You can get 2 and 3 cover B for $25, which still gets you the trading card set and the PDF. And this one gets you the Task Force ID badge. So you can get into the Hall of Justice.
Yeah.
So what's the badge? Help me out on this. What's it like? Is it laminated? Is it a trading card punch hole?
It's like a it's like a credit card, that same kind of plastic. And when we scroll down later, you'll see it. I have a picture of it.
Okay, cool. That's what I was kind of looking for over here before, and I didn't go far enough, I guess. And then for $50, all 4 covers, issue 2, issue 3, cover A, cover B, the PDFs, the Task Force badge, the trading card set. How many cards are in the set?
6 cards.
Okay, decent set. I'd have gone for 9.
I thought about it, but I got kind of tired of making the cards.
Yeah, the only reason I said 9 is that you could have, because that's how many cards fit in a page.
Right.
Storing them in your sheets, and if you'd have done that and they were all like one big picture when assembled, like X-Men used to do with Fleer.
Oh, that's an idea. That
would be kind of cool. So that you saw the Fleer cards at X-Men.
Right. That's a good idea.
That's all I do, Bill. I throw ideas. I let other people worry about making the money. For $60. This is the issue number 2 and 3 in Chrome. You still get the PDFs. You still get the trading card set. You get a Chrome trading card on top of your trading card set. So it's triple Chrome now. You get extra Chrome, and you get your, of course, ID badge. Does it have Chrome on the badge too? I mean, that would be
no Chrome on the badge.
Okay. So now the left side of the page is starting. We're getting past where the packages were, so we'll start seeing some pictures as we go here. Catch up and jump on package. Okay, so this is going to have some stuff. This has got issue 2 and 3.
This is the big one.
Yeah, issue 2 and 3, cover A. This has got Task Force number 0 and number 1, and number 1.5. It's also got Secret Files number 1, so you got all 3 issues of the Secret Files. You get 2 pinup specials. I'm going to assume, given the nature of your story, this is not going to be a swimsuit pinup special.
No swimsuit pinups.
Okay, all right, just saying.
Cool art nonetheless.
Parables number 1. Now, is that related to the Tribulation Task Force, or is that a different book?
Now, the Tribulation Task Force saga is broken up into 3 books. There's Tribulation Task Force. There's Parables, which tells origin stories and like smaller stories of characters. And then there is the Secret Files. Okay.
So then Web Adventures would be your Spider-Man ripoff. No, I'm kidding. It's
Web Adventures is all of the is a selection of our web comics put into print format. And there's only 20 of those that we have available.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing you're only giving 10 of them away on this tier.
Right.
That's a lot of comics for $70. That's a very good tier.
A lot of cool comics for $70.
Yes. Original character Cameo tier. We talked about this in the video. So this is only 4 of these. Somebody's already got it. Is it the teddy bear? Did somebody actually try to put a giant teddy bear furry into the Tribulation Task Force?
Someone did. I think his name was Courage the Mighty Bear. Or something. I forget.
I'm going to state with certainty that you maintain editorial control over the submissions.
Yeah, but money talks sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
When you're funding a book.
Yeah. Like, my character is Slutty Sandra. Okay, but she's going to be demon possessed and she dies in the first page.
Have to have one cutesy character in there.
Of course, I can dig it. It's sort of like a hero bear kind of thing.
Right.
It would come right out of Bible Man or Veggie Tales. Oh, there you go. Somebody needs to put a giant pickle in there.
Don't say those words are like sinful words. Bible Man and Veggie Tales. We don't use those words, those phrases.
If there's a tale, then
someone inevitably says, "Oh, Bible Man." No. Nothing like Bible Man.
Oh, yeah. Bible Man was a little... Bible Man was Power Rangers, but more simplified even when it came to the villains. Oh,
Nothing to do with Bible Man or the stupid vegetables.
Aaron Burke says, let's put Purgatory in there. She'd fit right in. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll throw Lady Death in too. What the heck?
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Right.
So did I pass that up? Okay, get 2 and 3 cover A, and you get your character in there. That's $100. Do you have to know how to draw? Probably not. You're going to have some other artists draw. So,
Yep.
Now $100. Boy, if I wasn't making a move right now, I would put some money on that one. I'd have some thoughts.
Yeah. We had 3 of these in the last campaign on IGG and 3 on Kickstarter, and they both sold out. Every campaign they sell out. So the last one was to have your character on the cover of Tribulation Task Force 1.5. So that one went pretty quickly. I love them. I think it's a cool tier.
It is. Well, everybody loves it. It's that and the get yourself drawn into a book kind of tier that you jump on. There's somebody out there, I forget who it is, but anytime there's a Comicsgate book and it's got that, he's like, "Yep, that's mine," and he's just appeared all over the. He's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Stan Lee. He's just popping out of books.
That's awesome.
And then this one just says everything. What's everything? Well, that's number 2 and 3 with cover A. It's also going to be number 2 and 3 with cover B. It's going to be 2 and 3 Chrome. Everything should have 2 and 3 regular cover too, though, right? I mean,
is there? Yeah, the regular cover is A. Is that on there? Yeah, it should be A, B, and then Chrome.
I thought there were 3 different versions before the Chrome one, but I could be totally mistaken.
Nope, 2.
Okay, so cover A, cover B, Chrome, poster, trading card, Chrome trading card, trading card set, Task Force ID badge, and a partridge in a pear tree. Now, what I didn't see in this, and maybe it's an add-on, we'll get down and take a look at it, was the 15 issues on the USB stick. Is that an add-on?
That doesn't come with that. That is an add-on.
All right, so we're looking at some of the interior art here. We're also looking at stretch goals. We don't know what the stretch goals are going to be, except for the one that's already been opened, and that is a holographic sticker of a character. So who is your character? And
that is Pink Spade. She's one of the Tribulation Task Force.
Pink Spade?
Yep.
That's an interesting character name. Like the shovel?
Like the card thing?
Oh, okay.
Not the shovel.
I was like, I can dig it. It's her catchphrase or something. So and it looks like to me this is going to be holographic stickers. I know that Sticker Mule's doing that. I'm guessing that's who you're going through.
Yep.
And you're doing the trading card kind of a rectangular format rather than the die cut?
Yes, it's a square.
Okay. Because you can get a lot more background on there and make it all holographic-y. We had ours cut to the circle logo of our set. So, but you have ideas for others. Are they all more holograph stickers as we go further along, or?
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
They're not unlocked yet.
Well, the next one unlocks at 1,500, and that is not that far away. We're at 1047. In fact, just out of sheer hubris.
Yeah.
Let me reload it here and see if anything's changed on it, because people should be jumping on this. This is now.
It would be nice.
I've done nothing.
Ooh.
I've done nothing for you, Bill. I've done nothing. I have wasted your night.
CG
I owe you a refund.
It's because I said something about God, so that's it. They all clicked off.
We're done. We're out.
Yeah, we're out of here.
Here is Robert's asking if he got the walk-on character perk. Could you use a photo of his father, who was a believer of charismatic Christianity and passed away in 2001? That would be an excellent tribute. That'd be a wonderful thing to do.
Absolutely. Last campaign, someone did a portrait of their friend on the cover as a birthday gift. They appeared on the comic, so yeah, definitely.
So there you go, Robert. Yeah, you could definitely honor your dad's memory in that way. I don't know if you want to make him a superhero or if you just want him to be, as himself. But that's wow.
Yeah, and you get a one paragraph write up of your character. So if you wanted to put a little thing about who your dad was, I mean I think that'd be awesome.
That hits me.
Yeah.
Respect, man. Lost my train of thought now. This is Tech 9. He's one of the characters.
Yep, he's in the Tribulation Task Force.
And he's he shops at Rob Liefeld's Outfitters.
He does.
Because he
pouches and all.
He's got the pouches. He's got the eye patches. He's got
yeah. Feet are important.
Yeah. Power coupler boots collects, stores, and distributes energy. Boots have an accessory that gives limited flight. So cool flight shoes like the Trickster's Airwalkers.
He kind of has like repulsion boots or something.
Okay, he's got the power gauntlets like Iron Man. He's got a monitor screen, so he's got his Google Glass on
right.
He's got quantum pockets, self-contained pockets of storage space. These hold shrunken tools and weapons that are available on demand. So it's like he reaches in and he pulls out a bazooka.
Exactly, and he can unshrink it.
Yeah. Infinite holding.
I actually stole that from Hank Pym in West Coast Avengers. When they brought him back in the 80s, they didn't want him to be Yellow Jacket because he smacked, he was a wife beater. So they just had him in his red jumpsuit, and he had all these things he would pull out of his pocket and enlarge them. And I always thought that was the coolest thing.
They were doing that in the Ant-Man movie too. It's like, he'd throw a little item out there and then he'd hit it with a
right.
Like, woof.
Right.
Toss a Hot Wheel in the air. There you go. A car on you. Oh, that was a real tank.
I always thought that was so cool.
It was. Those Ant-Mans have been like my favorite of the Marvel movies.
Good thing they didn't have him beat Wasp and give her a black eye.
Well, yeah, Hank Pym is the older one too, so they might still have that backstory. That might be.
Oh, there you go. He could still smack up somebody.
He could still have a tale to have told in the past. Michael Douglas.
Right.
We got another character profile here. This is Yoke. This is the psychic demon-possessed villain. Okay, so this leads me to an interesting question because the demon is obviously a bad person.
Right.
Or a bad thing. But could Yoke be exorcised and then not be a bad person? Is she a bad person because of the demon, or did the demon possess her because she was already a bad person?
Well, her story is coming in the next few months. It's actually being produced, so I don't want to say too much about it because her story will answer those questions.
So no spoilers. Okay. She might be the gray area character.
Yeah.
And we got nothing more to look at. Well, that's okay. We'll just talk about stuff then.
Somewhere up there should be a frame with the rewards, and it should be above the. Where did it go?
This is the reward levels.
Yeah, scroll up a little. Oh, they're not in there anymore. There actually were pictures of the rewards. And now this is good because I'm going to go back and add them again.
Yeah, I think you should.
I don't know where they went.
I was looking for the add-ons that were mentioned in the in the video there because I think maybe the add-ons might not show up, I guess, until you actually.
Yeah, when you make the purchase, it'll show you all the add-ins. But I did have a graphic on there, and I will have to add it after the show because it's mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, because I think it would be nice to know what the add-ons are before you get that far. So it's like so that when you get there, it's like when I get here, I want to look for this, this, and this.
It sure would be a good thing. Too bad IGG deleted it.
IGG.
We'll blame it on them.
Oh wait, I was thinking Kickstarter. Never mind. Because I'm certain that we have people in the chat who would want to get that 15 issues on digital.
Right.
And I know that it's a USB stick, but I'm guessing if they emailed you really nice and said pretty please, that could get emailed instead of a stick, or at least emailed in addition to the stick.
Sure.
Just because of where they're at and might
Right.
mail and stuff like that. So you got. Is this a growing team? Because obviously you're taking characters on in the secret files, and you've got a lot of issues. Like Justice League was always like the Super Seven, the
Right.
the Magnificent Seven, and then as time went on, it's like this person quit and this person joined in. The entire team disbanded, and another team came in and took their place.
Right.
Do you have that kind of ebb and flow with the group dynamics?
Well, basically, each issue is going to spotlight a small group of the characters. So it's like kind of like a Legion of Superheroes thing. There's this large team, and every issue you get a core of a few characters who get the spotlight. Okay,
so you have like a non-denominational set that's like the Legion of Substitute Tribulation Task Force. We don't really ascribe to any one of the dogmas, so we can't really sit at the table.
Well, we have the younger characters are going to say, screw this, you're not letting us do anything, and they're going to break off on their own. That's being worked on right now also. That's going to be called Last Generation.
I like that Teen Titans kind of thing.
Yeah.
The whole rebellion thing. Now this is, I playfully kind of sort of threw out that non-denominational thing, but I don't know where you sit on the whole Comicsgate thing, and I don't care. It's not important. but I've used, and I want to delve into that because I've used this analogy before about Comicsgate to where I say that if DC and Marvel were the Catholic Church, that, Richard C. Meyer and Captain Cummings and them, they were Martin Luther nailing up the proclamation on the door of the split. And then from that day forward, it's just split and split and split and split and split. To the point where you have things like, do you know the comedian Emo Phillips?
No.
Not surprised. You're way too young. But if you look up, if you look up Emo Phillips' religion on YouTube, he has this bit where he's walking along the bridge and there's a guy getting ready to jump off, and he stops the guy. And he says, surely you have things to live for. He's like, are you a Christian? He's like, yes, I am. Me too. What denomination? Are you Catholic or Protestant? I'm a Protestant. Me too. What denomination? Well, I'm Baptist. Me too. Are you Northern or Southern Baptist? I'm a Southern Baptist. Me too. Are you of the Proclamation of 1865 or are you the Reformation of 1927? I'm of the Reformation of 1927. Die, heathen. It's like, and you get split down so far, and it's like everybody's going. We're the only ones who are going to heaven. We're the only ones, right. Do you have? Is everybody on Tribulation Task Force Unitarian in their aspect? There's like, yes, we believe all the same thing, or do you have the I'm worshiping God, you're worshiping God a little bit wrong kind of thing?
If you were sitting in a room and you had the Apostle John sitting there with you, I'm pretty sure you'd be on the right page because he would set you straight. But we don't really touch any of that. That's going we're trying to keep it light so we don't go into a whole lot of that kind of stuff.
I have a book called Saint. It's a novel. It's a really good novel where the Catholic Church allows for the bones of St. Peter to be processed and not necessarily cloned, but the genetic DNA was put into a dying man because they were playing with genetic memory and they wanted to see if it would still. They had done experiments with it where they were able to give people memories of other people through genetic memory, and they're like, the Catholic Church is like, we'd really like to know some things. Don't tell anybody we're doing this. And Peter is resurrected in this guy's body who's dying of cancer. And one of the things that he talks about, because he's got all the memories of Peter, but he's got the knowledge skills of the guy he's put into once he realizes what's happened and he quits speaking Latin. He tells some sort of a dirty joke, and people are like, Jesus would not approve. And he's like, oh, you didn't know him like I did. And I think it'll be fun to have John, set straight some restrictions that people might be holding on themselves.
Right.
Be like, yeah, he was a carpenter and he was a fisherman and he was a real live world person here. He knew how to talk to the people.
Well, this modern Jesus, he's kind of this long flowing hair, be my girlfriend, be my boyfriend, Jesus, hippie, everything's okay.
Yeah.
They've made him into this wuss, really. And like you said, he was a carpenter. He wasn't a good looking man, but he was a big guy. He was not a wuss by any means.
He
told people to go. He called the Pharisees names, like lots of names. I mean, he was no pushover.
No, and there's a song out there. Can't remember the guy's name. Todd Agnew. My Jesus would never be respected in my church because the blood and dirt on his feet might stain the carpet.
There you go.
and I really like Mark Lowry's comment on it. It's like, the Christian means to be like Jesus, and if we're going to be like Jesus, we got to spend a whole lot more time in bars with hookers.
Right. It's very true. I was actually, when I lived in Minneapolis, I was in a group and we met in a bar. And that's where we had prayer meetings, in the bar. What better place? We're no better than you.
Yeah.
We're just different. And it was great because people come join us, read the Bible with us, and there was no judging anyone. And it was an amazing thing, actually.
It's where you can open the doors and say, we're in here, or you can say, I've got something you need to know, so I'm going to come over there.
Right.
So you can do it. But one will work, and one is like, well, I hope it's sort of like putting a crowdfunder up on Indiegogo. You can put it up there and hope that people come to it, or you can go out to the streams and compel people to come look at your stuff.
Right.
So which one do you find works better for you?
I think the streams kind of works.
It does. Tell people stuff. Hey, I've got some good news. Look, it's a comic book. Speaking of good news in comic book, have you seen the Action Bible?
I have. It's really cool.
I love that concept. I haven't read it. I don't know who all went into making of it.
The artist was a Marvel Comics artist. He was pretty big in the 90s. Sergio Cariello or something.
Oh, I can't remember.
And he's a great artist.
I remember
he was internet famous because he did this picture of Jesus standing over like Captain America or Superman, and he's like praying for him. And he did a bunch of versions of it that were going around on Facebook for a while.
Oh, cool. I remember back in the day when there was such a thing as Penthouse Comics. Penthouse Comics was going to produce the Bible in comics form. And it caused this huge stir. And
Lord.
Well, yeah, but
I can imagine.
You don't understand. If we stay literal to it, we're the only people who can publish it. Because it wasn't going to be sanitized down to the bushes are all standing in the right places in the Garden of Eden. And, David's, standing in the shadows, and, there's going to be a spotlight on Bathsheba. It's like, there was some seriously messed up stuff that happened in this. Hey, these guys raped Tamar, but we're going to forgive you if you all get circumcised. And then the next day when you're all walking around sore and you can't move, that's when we're going to come in and kill you.
It is. There's some pretty crazy stuff. And I just lost my train of thought. The new international version of the Bible, which is one of the modern language translations, is by the same company that does the Satanic Bible. So I just thought that was interesting.
We're just publishing stuff, folks. We just put things on. Now that's begging for a comic book version too.
Right.
Let's watch people get in an uproar when the Satanic Bible gets comic. I've never read it. I don't know if it has stories in it or if it just has prayer, all written backwards or whatever it is that they do. But
I've read pieces of it. It's very interesting because it actually reflects modern culture's kind of morals. If it feels good, do it. As long as you don't hurt anybody, worry about yourself first. Everything in our culture right now you will find in the Satanic Bible. It's not all about killing things and blood. It's really about doing whatever you want.
And it harms none, do what thou wilt. That's the thing I know of it. And the thing about it is, that makes sense. That sounds like a good thing. What could possibly be wrong with that?
Do whatever makes you happy. And if someone wrongs you, get revenge on them. I mean, it's very much morality of today.
Yeah. And, if you believe in karma, punch somebody in the jaw if you feel like it, because they probably did something to deserve it anyway, if karma's correct.
There you go.
Robert's got the story. The children's Bible story where the man returns and promises to sacrifice the first thing that comes out of his house, and it's his daughter. I remember that story quite well. And he's weeping, and he tells her, and she's like, "No, you made a promise. You've got to do it now." I'm like, I always looked at it like, why didn't God pull an Isaac on that? Come on.
Right. I think a lot of times too, we look at the Bible through our sense and what we think, and God is God. I mean, there's a verse that says, God sits on his throne and he does what he pleases. Yeah. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. You might not like it, too bad. I'm God. I set the rules.
And I don't think the point of
which is a hard pill for us to swallow.
I don't think the point of that story was that, God is harsh, or that you shouldn't. I think the point was, don't open your mouth and promise anything that you don't have the power to do. Because you might be held to it.
It says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Very simple. Don't make any promises and vows. Just yes, or no.
Herwenberg is my cultural attaché in all of these things. He knows a little bit about everything. He's like one of my mastermind people with Henry Ford. Henry Ford was, by the way, filed suit one time against the newspaper because the newspaper man called him an idiot in print. And he's like, I'll sue. And the newspaper man said, bring it on. And so they tried to prove that he was an idiot in court. And he was on the stand, and they asked him this question. They asked him that question. He's like, I don't know. And he finally had enough. He's like, in my office, I have a box on my desk, and there are 6 buttons on there. And if I need to know anything, I press one of those buttons, and somebody walks into my office who knows this thing I need to know. And it was a mastermind group. He's like, he was smart enough to know to surround himself with people who knew the things he didn't.
Right.
And that's Herwenberg on my chat here. That's why he's got a wrench. He knows the things I can't. Anton LaVey was the do what thou wilt, and Satanism and the Wiccans added in the and it harm none. I thought the and it harm none came from Crowley, but again, I'm not that deep into it. All I know from Satanism is what I read from Sandman. So, boy, are we on the wrong side of the tracks for this interview.
I know. CG's really going to disown me.
Well, you know what? You cannot talk about Christianity without talking about Satan. I'm going to pull the number out of my butt because there's an actual number, but I can't recall it. Hell is referenced 10 more times than heaven is in the Bible.
It is. Jesus talked more about hell than he did anything.
Yeah. I mean, he always said, the kingdom of heaven's like this, the kingdom of heaven's like that. But, hey, here's the alternative.
Don't go there.
Throw this home. This is the place you don't want to go. I'm trying to keep this. So pay attention. So I'm going to refresh this anyway. One more time.
Let's see, 10,000.
10,000. Boy, you have a lot of faith in me and my my congregation.
That book Cash Grab made like $100,000.
That's insane.
That's a crime.
But it lives up to its title. It's a cash grab. I mean, there. And some books I get. The creator is, somebody that people really like. He's charismatic. I like Cecil. He's funny. I don't get cash grab. I do not. I've seen the arc. It's kind of cartoonish for what it's kind of do. I don't think people are going to get out of it what they are getting out of, what they're getting out of a cyber frog. And I know that Ethan Van Sciver backs Cash Grab because Cecil's friends with him I don't know. It could have again in the last 7 minutes.
Right, who could keep up with it?
I get it. So you've had to do streams to get this promoted. Mm-hmm. Have you been to some of because there are streamers out there who, I can talk to Christianity. Obviously, I'm not going to say that I'm really good at it or that I'm going to have a theology lesson every week. But there are other comic book streamers out there who do. You've got your Doug Naples, you've got your Mike S. Millers. Have you been on their streams to have more intellectual discussions than what I can give you? Because I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if?
If they answered me back, I might have a chance.
Okay, so you need to talk to Mike S. Miller. Have you talked with Doug Ernst?
No, I have not.
Okay, they at least answer me back when I email them sometimes. So I will put in a good word for you with them.
I'd appreciate that.
And say, would you please talk with my good friend?
Yeah, that would be much appreciated.
Are there other Christian theme streams though that you've been getting on that are not comic book streams, that are just like gospel streams or something? Said, hey, and today we're going to talk about a comic book.
I've actually been slacking. I haven't reached out a whole lot. I was on Malin's stream a couple days ago, and that's it so far.
Oh, I just had this image of you talking about Tribulation Task Force on the Jack Show. Let's get Bill and Witten. I think God would look down and say, "No, this can't happen. I got to come now."
I was on Malin's the last book. I was on Preston's show, Pocket Jack Comics. We had an interesting discussion. It was actually pretty fun. I like him. You know
what? I like him too. I've had my differences with him in the past, but we've been on similar streams together. And you know what? All have fallen and come short. And
I get a kick out of him, and how they've dragged his name through the mud and just exposed all this personal stuff about him, and he still just gets up there and does his thing. So yeah. I respect that, because I might have ran and hid.
Keep moving on. You know what? I've got things that they've been put on camera and loaded to YouTube. I probably wouldn't be on stream right now.
Right, and he just sucks it up and goes back on. I was like, oh, well, God bless him.
Not going to erase it. Yeah. Keep going.
Right.
So, yeah, mad respect for that. I've lost my train of thought again. I still have that image of you and Witten on the Jack Show, and it was like... But yeah, well, that's cool that you did
doing anything. I'm not there to preach to anybody. I'm on there to sell a comic book, so that's the focus. I mean, if they bring it up, like, you brought up topics, I don't mind talking about them, but that's not my purpose to go in,
Sure. Heroinberg's saying that Niall Scala from Pop XP, and Heroinberg is a wrench for Pop XP show too. So he's got an inside track. Talked about Tribulation recently on an Indiegogo video called The Lesser Knowns. So check that out.
I will. Thanks. I didn't even know that.
I think he's talked about Tribulation Task Force, meaning talked about your comic.
Wow.
Video called The Lesser Knowns. So very cool.
Yeah, we'll check that out.
Then email Heroinberg afterwards and say, hey, let the Pop XP people know about me.
I will. Shameless promotion.
You got to. What was a good friend of mine was a system admin at a place I worked in IT in North Carolina, and he would he had the Book of Jasper, which he'd run it by so fast that people would assume he said his brother actually pulled it in church one time and people just amened him. His brother was a pastor. But his favorite was like 2 Jasper 2:7. Whosoever tooteth not his own horn, the same shall also therefore goeth untooted. and Jasper had a lot of wisdom.
I got to do more of it. It's just very hard to kind of break in, Everything's so insular.
You've got 13 issues under your belt. You didn't crowdfund all of those, right?
I did.
Okay.
Well, some of them are for the website. We do for the quote unquote fan club. I hate that term. For the people who follow the mailing list, we do some, special issues and do them only for the mailing list.
All right. Well, now I have no sympathy. You've crowdfunded 13 issues plus a Task Force Tribulation Task Force 1 plus some other stuff. You should be you should know better by now. You should already have a thick appointment book of people to call. Yep, next crowdfunder's going out. Book everything.
I'm working on it.
All right. Well, I will reach out to my good friends. They're going to look at this and they're going to say, I'm going to get a Peter out of all of them. I'm going to
I would appreciate that.
Well, Bill, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Likewise, it's always fun.
And we will have you back again sometime, God willing.
Anytime.
I love it. Still a world to have.
Right.
And boy, these are going to be collector's items after the rapture. You realize that, right? It's like, what's supposed to happen next now?
Wouldn't that be poetic? After I'm gone, people will want them.
Absolutely. I had a really important question. It would have been good to ask like in the first 10 minutes of the show, rather than as we're getting ready to say goodbye. Were there superheroes before the tribulation?
Yes. As a matter of fact, in the Zero issue, it's the history of heroes on the earth.
Samson doesn't count.
Samson's in it, David's in it, and then there were some real superheroes that popped up in the WW2 area.
Okay, because I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. World War II to 1980s, just doing our jobs and not really worrying about God or the devil, or we're just here for crime, justice, and USA. All right.
There sure was.
So there is a developed world to get into, and then it all changes. Are there still superheroes in Tribulation Task Force that are not Tribulation Task Force? They're just in it for the because of truth, justice, and the American way?
There is.
Oh, well, we could have talked about that for another 15 minutes. Okay.
It's all unfolding.
A fully realized world. Bill, it sounds exciting. I'd like to dig into this myself now. So I'm going to check into it.
Hey, shoot me your email on Twitter, and I will send you all the digital issues.
Yes, I know what I'm doing tonight. And everyone in the chat, we always appreciate you being here. We would not have a show without you showing up. So we hope you'll be checking into Tribulation Task Force. If you're watching the replay, the link to the Indiegogo is right below there in the description. It's the very first thing. Come by tomorrow when our guest will be Aria Black, and we're going to be talking about his book. And we're going to have a giveaway tomorrow. I couldn't give it away tonight because it's not dated yet, but we will be giving away a digital code for Snowpiercer Season 1 to a lucky person. So
Snowpiercer season premiere tonight.
Yes, it'll be perfect timing. So if you watch Season 2's premiere tonight and you have no idea what's going on, tomorrow you have a shot at getting the entire Season 1 on digital, and you'll be able to start watching it and binging it right away.
Woohoo!
Won't have to be mailed to you. It's just going to be emailed code and you type it in. So good night, Bill. Good night,
Thanks
chat.
again.
We hope you all